In this video, we're going to take a look at the specific formulas that you need to know for the Google Certified Educator Level 2 exam. Those formulas are the ones that you see in the sheet tabs across the bottom here. I'm going to show you how to use the formulas, and you'll also be able to see some examples in which I would use them. So on this sheet, I have a list of clubs at the school, as well as numbers on membership. So for example, for this first club, there are 7 males, there are 17 females, and 21 ninth graders versus 3 12th graders. So what Sparkline does is it creates a visual graph within a cell, as opposed to you having to go to the insert menu and add a chart. So you'll start with Sparkline and the parentheses. And if you recall from level 1, when you start typing a formula, you get a little help guide right here. So this will tell you what it's looking for. So the data that I'm looking to create the graph on is I want to see the grade membership. So when I do that, I get this nice little line graph within the cell. I'm going to drag this down to the others as well. I can see with many of these membership, some of them dip off as the students get into higher grades, but for example, in this one, seems like more of the 11th and 12th graders are joining. That seems to be the trend. I'm not stuck with a line chart. I can specify the chart type in my formula. So for this, I want to make a bar chart that compares the males to the female membership in the club. So I'm going to start out just like I did before with the Sparkline. I'm going to compare columns B and C. And then I'm going to specify a chart type. And that chart type is going to be bar. Right, and this parse error is telling me that I typed something incorrect, and that's because I did the bracket as opposed to the squiggly bracket. Right, and you'll see here that I get a bar chart here. I'm going to drag this down to the others. And you can see right here, this one is telling me that this club is mostly male membership. All right, let's look at our next example, count if. Count if allows you to count something based on a criteria you set. So in this example, I want to count how many of each size t-shirt have been ordered, as opposed to me having to manually go through and say there's 1 small, 2, 3. I'm going to create a formula. That formula is count if. So the range is, what am I counting? Where is the range I'm counting? And that range is in column D. So I'm going to count from D2 through D, which is the entire column minus the header. And then the criterion is I'm looking for small. Now, if I type in small, it's not going to work because the way the data is typed into this cell is with the capital S for small. So I need to make sure that my formula matches what is actually typed in to the cell. I'm going to hit OK or enter on my keyboard. Now, normally I would say go ahead and drag that formula down, but you'll see what happens when I do this is that range of D2 through D, it shifted. Before I drag that down, I want to lock that in place. So what I'm going to do is click on the D2D and use F4 on my keyboard. Now, if you don't have a keyboard with F4, you can just add the $ before. That's going to lock this range down. And now I can drag this down and I'm going to get a count, but I just have to update these other formulas with the correct sizes. And you'll see how they adjust. Now let's say that I changed this shirt size, this order to a small. These numbers are going to change when I do that. So it updates dynamically. All right, SUMIF is very much like COUNTIF, except instead of counting, it's going to add based on a condition. So here, what I want to happen is I want to count the number of pages that each student has read. So I'm going to start my formula with the equal and SUMIF, because I'm adding these numbers together. I'm not counting how many times they've read. I'm adding this value. So I would get a different result if I use COUNTIF here. So I'm going to start with my range, and I want to count for Brenda Walsh. So I want to count if I see Brenda Walsh's name. So Brenda, the name is contained in column E. I'm going to do E2 through E. Now I could do E through E, but I'm not including the header row here. And the criteria is going to be Brenda Walsh. And then what am I adding? The data that I'm adding is the pages, and the pages are found in column C. So I'm going to go from C2 through C. Now, just so I can later go ahead and copy this down, I'm going to put the absolute references around them so these lock in place. And what this is going to do is going to tell me that Brenda Walsh has read a total of 755 pages. I can go ahead and drag this one down, but remember I have to update the name to match. I'm going to get rid of that, and I'm going to show you when I update this formula, instead of typing in Brenda Walsh's name is right here in cell G5. So I can actually replace her name in the formula with G5. So basically what I'm saying is in column E, where the name matches what's in this cell, G5, go ahead and sum up the pages that were read. This will save me time later because now I can drag this formula down and it's going to adjust based on the names here. So quickly I can tell how many pages each student has read. Sort allows you to sort your data with a formula as opposed to sorting by a column. So what I'd like to do here is I would like to sort this sheet by students and chaperones. So here I'm going to type in sort, and my data range is A2 through E. My next item I have to add is the sort column. So I want to sort by their role. So that actually, instead of typing E, I type in 5 because it's the 5th column. And then here I do true or false. I do true for ascending. So I want them to go in alphabetical order. And then I click enter. And now you'll see they're sorted by the role. Now I can add a secondary sort at the end of this. So let's say I don't just want to do by their role. I also want it to be alphabetical by row. You can kind of see here, these names aren't alphabetical. So all I have to do is add on to this and add a secondary sort. So I want to sort by last name. The last name is in column B, which is column number 2. And I also want to sort that by ascending. And now you'll see I get that same list, but it's now sorted alphabetically. Right? And finally, we also have a filter formula. As opposed to using these filters up here, what I want to do in this example is I only want to return results from, let's say, all students that have volunteered to go to the Harmony Hills site. So I'm going to start with my filter formula. My range of data is A2 through E. My condition is going to be where D2 through D equals Harmony Hill. So when Harmony Hill is contained in column D, that's going to just show those results. So when I do that, I can see a list of all students who are going to Harmony Hill. Just like with the sort feature, I can also do a secondary filter. So not only do I want to know which students are going to the Harmony Hill site, but also maybe I want to filter by role. Like I just want to see which high school students, because right now this list contains middle school and high school students. So if I add this secondary filter, I can do E2 through E. equals, let's do CHS student. Now when I hit enter, my list adjusts and I only see a list of Cohoes High School students that are going to Harmony Hill. So those are how you're going to use the Sparkline COUNTIF, SUMIF, sort, and filter formulas within Google Sheets. Thanks for watching.